Mom. I was just watching your most recent Hotline Show, December 2024, and I have been interrupted a number of times by interesting ads, and I tend to go down the rabbit hole and watch the stupid things, but I'm wondering how they decide what ads to project and show up in the middle of your fabulous video. And second, I was wondering how to call you because you say, look below in the description, and I'm lame and I don't know how to find that information. Of course, I have a direct line to you, but I was wondering you might get more calls if you put the telephone number on your video. Just a couple of comments, and I love you. Take care. Bye.
Mom, thanks for that call. Sorry about the ads on the video. It's YouTube. I don't even know where to begin with that. I mean, you could pay for YouTube Premium and then you'd have no ads, but I know you don't really watch YouTube. You only watch my show. I pay for YouTube Premium. I don't see ads. I think it's a great investment. I think YouTube's basically unwatchable without it. But, that's just how the internet is now. I choose to have ads on my video because even though we only make about $1 per video, I just feel like it doesn't matter. You could say there's an integrity thing. Like, let's go no ads. Let's do that. Fuck that. Not in 2024 in the United States of America. Everyone's so used to ads now. We're just putting them on there. And then if that experience is bad for people, well, that's just the hell that we live in. What ads are you getting? I don't know. It's tailored to you. It's Google. This is just an advertising platform. So it just knows whatever it is it thinks you like, and that's it. The number. This is the Hotline Show. If you don't know, if you're new here, welcome. Welcome back. Thanks for coming. I put the number that you can call in the description below. I don't know how to describe how to find the description. I mean, just click around. What are we supposed to do here? I mean, you might be wondering, why not put the number right here on the screen? And the reason I haven't done that is because I worry that the number would be abused, potentially. It never has been, fortunately. But if all of a sudden the number was getting out of control, I could always remove it from the description below, but I can't remove it from the video. So that's why we do that. If you can find the number, I don't know what to say. I mean, if you're watching this and you can't figure it out, you can record a voice memo on your phone. It's great audio quality, better than calling the number, and then just email it to me. If you don't know how to find my email address, are you new to the internet? What are we supposed to do these days? Like, do we have to treat everyone like they don't know how anything works? I feel like that's it. And Mom, this is not directed at you. I know. Try to remain patient. But just reminded me of a whole bunch of other things. Anyway, Mom, thanks for calling. You can call back anytime. The only way you know that we communicate now is through the Hotline Show. I'm going to stay focused today. I'm trying to. I wrote a lot of stuff happened this week. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I got a haircut. Yes, I know. We're not going to talk about that. There's a CEO thing happened. Raw milk. I have a raw milk story, actually, but today is just about every day. My project, my most famous project, is what this YouTube thing is all about, whatever. So 2 questions about that from 2 people. They've been waiting for me to get to it. I'd honestly rather talk about almost anything else, but we're going to do it, and it's fine. There's a ton of content with every day, and it's hard for me because it's so complicated, and it's such long, ancient history. And every time I tell a story about it, I'm just making it up again. And then I'm just remembering how I remembered the last thing that I remembered. Does that make sense? So we're going to get into it. We've got 2 calls, one from Mike Hugo. It's a long call, so I'm going to break it up and answer it as we go along. Let's go. We're doing it now. Mike.
Hey, Noah. This is Mike Lugo from Connecticut. I also do a daily photo project. I'm about to hit 17 years. I don't know if you remember me. We briefly emailed like 12 years ago.
17 years. That's amazing. Congratulations. I do not remember the email. I'm sorry.
I think we're around the same age. I'm 44, and I took photography in senior year of high school. And back then I had an idea that someday if I had a kid, I would set up a camera on a tripod and sit in a chair with my kid on my lap, and I'd take a picture every day and slowly watch them grow up. And I don't believe you have kids either, but did you ever have that thought of, if I have a kid someday, I would feel a need to time-lapse them too?
I probably had that thought, but I would never do that. I know other people have done it. There's a few birth to, I don't know, teen or something. A few of those have happened now. I don't like the idea of using other people for my own personal gain. So it's absolutely something that probably crossed my mind. But if I ever did have a kid, I would let them alone. Let them create their own social media presence on their own. It's such a personal thing, everyone's so different. I don't want to exploit a child. It's, I know people think it's cute or whatever, it's precious. Not me. So, a lot of people are always like, you ever try this? You ever try that? No, one is enough. I've done as time has gone on, I've incorporated time into a lot of my projects. But the daily thing, we just need one. It's enough. Mike, more. Okay.
Second question is, I had that idea back in 1998, but I didn't actually start doing a daily photo project until 2007. And that was because I heard a great quote talking about journaling that was, I always felt that if my life is worth living, it's worth recording. So I decided to just start doing a picture a day instead of a journal kind of thing. And it was really just for myself. So my question to you is, how long between the idea and the action of doing a daily photo project did you have? And kind of what inspired you to start every day? And what inspired you to post it? And did you ever imagine that when you started that someday millions of people would know your face?
So the last part first, no, I never imagined it to be as popular as it was. And in fact, when I started it, I did 3 years of that project and no one even knew that I was doing it. I didn't even have a website. So it was just something I did. And it's funny, I was in art school at the time and I was probably a couple years into it, and it was my senior year, and I was at School of Visual Arts, and I was connected to the gallery director of White Columns, which is like an art gallery, influential art gallery in New York City, or at least it was. I don't know if it's still around. Maybe it is. And she was my mentor. And I showed her every day. And she absolutely hated it. She did not like it. I don't think she thought it was art. So, I mean, I was just doing it. It wasn't even supposed to be a video. In fact, I had always imagined it to just be stills, like wallpaper around a wall. It wasn't until many years later, 6 years actually, that's when YouTube ended up coming out, that people started posting time-lapse of daily photos. And that's what inspired me to make the video. And that was Ara Lee. I'll put a little quick clip of that video here. But like that, I saw that and I was like, I'm going to do my own version because I've done it a little longer. So that was the inspiration. I had friends prior to that suggest I do it. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. It's not a video project. I'm a photographer. Self-portrait project. The term selfie didn't even exist. So, that's it. I mean, from when I thought of the idea to when I started doing it, I don't know, maybe only a couple of weeks. I remember it was all about the camera. It was getting that digital camera, which was just mind-blowing at the time. And then knowing I wouldn't have to go to the lab to get my photos back, so I could just take a picture, put it on my computer, and see it immediately. That was amazing. But the camera was expensive, so I was like, how do I use this every day or a lot so it's worth the investment? And I was like, well, I know I'm always going to be around myself. If there's one subject I know I could use it on, it would be me. There's a lot more here, and I'm going to get to it a little more, but that's the crux of the project, the impetus, right? A little more here. Mike.
My last question is kind of what's been your experience in inspiring others to start daily photo projects and discovering other daily photo projects yourself? Did you know that other everyday projects existed before you even started? You're obviously probably the best known for it now, but before I started mine, I discovered videos like yours and then found people on YouTube who had been doing it even longer, like Jonathan Keller or Dan Hanna, and then learning about artists like Carl Baden and Roman Opalka. So the last question is kind of in what ways did you get inspiration from other everyday projects? Thanks, man.
So, Mike, thanks for all of these questions. I told you a while back I was going to try to devote a whole show to it because there's just so much here. I was not inspired by any artist directly to start the Everyday Project. Now, I was, however, inspired by the movie Smoke.
They're all the same.
That's right. Well, the 4,000 pictures are the same place. The corner of 3rd Street and 7th Avenue at 8 o'clock in the morning. 4,000 straight days in all kinds of weather. That's why I can never take a vacation. I gotta be in my spot every morning at the same time. Every morning in the same spot at the same time.
I've never seen anything like this.
It's my project. What you'd call my life's work.
Amazing. I'm not sure I get it though.
I remember seeing this, I don't know, 1998, 1999, and just like this scene in particular, it's a much longer scene, just really resonated with me. It was like so sad to me for some reason, I think, but also like very cool. So that was in my head. And then, of course, digital photography technology and just the ease and access and the ability to just take unlimited photos, essentially. And also, an interest in the subtle ways that we change over time. Because as a photography major in art school, I would look at photos of myself from high school just a few years before versus photos of myself now. And I had changed so much. When did that change happen? I wanted to almost make like a science experiment. That's also why I do not smile. I like the sort of the deadpan. I wanted to be able to accurately compare how I looked on December 8th, 2001 to December 8th, 2024. What's the difference? How much did I change? Let's put it up right here. If I was smiling, if I was changing my facial expression, it would change the sort of experiment, if you will. It was also art because it was self-portraiture. The term selfie has sort of diminished the self-portrait art aspect, I think, of taking photos of yourself. But back then, like when you took a photo of yourself, it was with intention. And that's what I set out to do. I mean, I think, and so many people thought I was just a narcissist. Like, I would eventually put up a website 3 years later. Most people didn't know unless I showed them in real life. And then when I finally got like people checking out the website, they'd be like, "You're an asshole. Who would do such a thing? Who would take a photo of themselves every day? Only people who were absolutely obsessed with themselves would do that." And I always just thought that was weird. I mean, was it hurtful? Nah, I mean, kind of. It's weird to get hate mail for something like that. But it didn't deter me. Regarding the other artists, I mean, I was doing it for a number of years before I knew anyone else did it. Because there was no one that I knew of at that time in the year 2000 that was taking a photo of themselves every day. Yes, I would later come to realize there were many others. And this is the thing that happens in art all the time. Parallel thinking. You have a great idea in your head, you think it's genius, you start doing it, and then sure enough, someone's going to be like, this is so-and-so, this reminds me of that. It always happens, no matter what you do. It's almost like every idea has been taken. And in some ways, that might be true. It's how we put our own spin on it. It's how we sort of, what makes the way you do something more special than anyone else. I don't know. I mean, at least in my mind, like, I wasn't looking at influence, so I just did it the way I naturally sort of felt like I would do it, which was hold my hands this far away, turn that flip screen around. I got the current camera, and it always has the screen so I can see myself, and then just do it. And whatever's behind me is behind me. And I always thought that was important to keep have the background element. So it wasn't just about me. It was about life changing around me. So there's more than one thing to look at. I would eventually meet Jonathan Keller. He lived in New York City at the same time we ended up meeting up. He had been doing it a full year, maybe two, longer than me. And I remember feeling like upset, like, oh, someone like beat me. But I wasn't going to give up. I accepted it and was like, parallel thinking. It's like, wasn't like felt like I was stealing it and he discovered me. Or, I discovered him, In fact, we ended up getting dinner together and he helped me build my first everyday website that I kept up for a number of years. It was all his code. So I would say, we became acquainted. I don't know if I'd say we were friends. But I have one of his pieces of art hanging in the back over there. I'm a fan of his work. I think he's a really amazing artist. There's, Roman Opalka. I love him. I mean, look at this incredible, little clip about Roman's work. I found this short on YouTube about his work, but it's about his number painting. I mean, just he dealt in time, but I think this is a fun little thing.
Let's talk about an artist that spent half of his life painting numbers in order. This is a conceptual artist who in 1965 wrote a 1 in a corner of a canvas and then just started listing numbers over and over again. He did this every day until his death, from 1965 until 2011. And at the time of his death, he got to 5,607,249. And this is the artist. He also was very into self-portrait, and this is what he did for half of his life. Apparently, he got the idea because he was waiting at a cafe for his wife, and he just thought, what if I start today at number 1 and just paint consecutive numbers on canvases? This is a video of him actually doing it. Now, this is very white, so you can't see, and the reason for this is with every single canvas, the background paint got 1% whiter. And for the last 4 years of his life, he was literally just painting white on white. So you really couldn't see it once it dried. He did this every day for 46 years. What's really sad though is he barely traveled. He would just wake up and paint numbers. And it was all for what? I can't wrap my head around it.
A lot of people deal with time in their work, and I think it's fascinating. I mean, my personal favorite is Tehching Hsieh. I think that's how you say his name. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But, people put their own spin on it. I mean, the people who came before me, you said someone like Dan Hanna. I don't know who that is. I tried looking him up, couldn't find that. But Carl Baden, I'd only recently heard of him just a couple of years ago, actually. He's a photographer. I mean, very interesting style. A lot of people do the sort of white background. Ara Lee, obviously, she's who inspired me to put the YouTube video up. Now, people have been inspired by what I do. I think that's great. What if an artist doesn't inspire other people? Sort of, what's the point, right? Or what's the opposite of inspiring people? If I do a project, would I want them to never want to do something like what I do? I think that's crazy. So it's very cool that people do it. I certainly like when people put their own twist on it. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, I don't want to feel like I own an idea. We don't own ideas. Ideas are the easy part, really. Everyone has good idea. It's actually doing it. People think ideas are hard. They're not. I mean, I could write look at this fucking book. I've got ideas for days, But 99%, I'm never even going to touch because actually doing it is the hard part. So shout out to anyone who like takes the initiative and like dedicates themselves to trying to do this project. It's very impressive. And if I'm the reason, that's amazing. And I hopefully they enjoy it. They're doing it for the right reason, right? They're doing it because they just wanted to do it. They just are interested in seeing themselves age. That's cool. In fact, Arthur, he's been doing this project. Let's hear from him right now.
Hey Noah, this is Arthur from Brazil. I know you already spoke before about the Everyday Project, but I have to say that I found it very original, and when I saw your video back in the day, I decided to start my own project, so I got inspired, and it's been like 10 years that I am doing my own project. I know you already mentioned in other videos that you noticed other folks doing the same stuff, so my question is like, first, how do you feel about other people doing the same project? And second, like, is there any of these projects that you really liked or at least thought they were original? And if yes, from who it was from? Thank you very much.
Arthur, thank you. And it was great chatting with you a little bit through email. I'm going to just put up your video here real quick. You've been doing this since 9 years so far, age 24 to 33. I think it's just amazing that, you know, you were inspired by my video to do this. I find a lot of these videos, and Arthur, I mean, you know, there's countless everyday type videos now, and I mean, I don't really watch them. A lot of people try to get me to like them, or because I had helped inspire it, and I think that's good, but I don't know. I don't want to be like the head of this. I don't want to be in charge, you know. I mean, it's very cool that you've done it, but like as far as I'm concerned, it's like, what's the spin? What's the new way of doing it that I've never seen before? What elevates it to art, right? Like what takes it to another level? I remember a couple years after my video came out, a guy named Christoph Rihaj, where he sort of walked across China, took a photo of himself every day. I'm going to play a little bit of that now. And I thought this was very original and unique at the time. And I liked the idea that he like integrated like some movement into some of the days and added some twists to it. And I thought that was like very well done, very well crafted. Down the road with being exposed to more artists who did self-portraits and daily things, I found this artist named Tehching Hsieh. Not sure that's totally the correct way to say his name, but he did a self-portrait project called 1 Year Performance, where he literally punched a time clock every hour on the hour for a full year and then took a picture while he did it. I'm going to play a little bit about his project here.
So this is a durational performance work by a Taiwanese-American artist called Tehching Hsieh, and it's entitled 1 Year Performance 1980 to 1981, and it's informally known as the time clock piece. And the departure point for the work is a statement by the artist that he will punch a time clock on the hour every hour for the duration of a year. So in 1980 in Manhattan, in the artist's studio, he installed a time clock and then proceeded to punch it once an hour on the hour. So he never slept for longer than about 50 minutes. He never left the apartment for longer than about 50 minutes. And what we see here is the documentation of that performance. So there are punch cards for every day of the year that he punched the time clock. And then there are a series of film strips. Every time he punched the time clock, he had his photograph taken. And you see around 8,760. But then there are 133 instances where he actually missed punching the time clock. So there's an element of sort of failure built into the work.
I kind of like that there's an element of failure built into the work. I mean, I too have missed days. I forget how many there are. I think it's in the 30s. There's about 10 that I lost in a hard drive crash. I think in the year 2004 or 5. That was devastating. I've never had a hard drive crash since then. I've done ways to back things up multiple times, but that sucked to lose a number of days that way. And then just over time, you just miss a day. It's like, it's so habitual at this point. I know I'm going to take my photo at some point today, but sometimes I'll just be like, I fucking forgot. It's failure. I mean, we all make our own rules for this, right? Because it's art. There's no, you don't have to be so strict. Sometimes shit happens. From that same video, let's hear from the artist himself.
Life is a life sentence. Life is passing time. Life is free thinking. So that is basically my work from this philosopher, you know. It's consumer time until die. I'm not trying to make concepts about how to passing time. I'm just basically passing time. So person is working hard or lazy or very creative or less creative. It's all same about passing time. Of course, you want to say, for example, this piece, time clock piece, every hour punch time clock, every hour on the hour. It's repetition, right? But you know, every time our change is very different. In human, to deal with time, we know time, you don't stop. It's what we call moving, right?
Continuous.
Means every minute, every hour is different. You cannot go back, right? So every time is different. And also, but it's the same thing. We do same thing. But every hour is different. You know, so it's that way we understand in life, you know. Yeah.
I can't really say it any better than that. Life is a life sentence. Thank you to everyone for coming. Thanks for sticking around. If you're still here, do the stuff like, subscribe, call the number. It's in the description below, or you can email me a voice memo. I'd really appreciate it. We have some great calls coming up. We've got a whole bunch banked, but keep them coming. I'd love to hear from you. We can talk about anything. We can come back to every day at some point too, but let's talk about condiments for sandwiches. Let's talk about the weather. Let's talk about sports. Until we meet again, probably next week. Maybe.